Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to do one of those all-time favorite afternoon tea snacks, shortbread. Only needs 4 ingredients and a bowl and the hands. Honestly, it's one of the most easiest things that you'll ever make. Now there's 2 ways of making this. Some people say cream your butter and sugar together first and then add your flour to it. I'm just going to throw everything in the bowl because if you're like me, you don't have time for faffing about with doing lots of different steps. So I have plain flour in here, and I'm using cornflour as well, which is going to give it that nice different kind of texture. And I'm using caster sugar and butter, quite a lot of butter. That's what makes shortbread so yummy, honestly. Now we might add a little splash of vanilla, you know me and vanilla. So you basically put everything in the bowl and you use your fingertips to rub the butter into the flour, okay? It's a very, very simple old-fashioned method. If you have a mixer, you can throw everything into your mixer and beat it nice and slowly. Just be careful you don't overbeat it and it becomes, you know, too doughy. What we're looking for here is just basically to bring everything together until it forms a soft round ball basically of a dough. It's a good idea to have your butter at room temperature as well, slightly softened. It just makes this part quicker because you're not trying to rub cold butter into your flour. Occasionally it'll start to stick to your hands, so just rub it off and keep moving it through. So the main objective here is we're going for like a breadcrumb type consistency, and that means that all our butter will be very evenly mixed through. What you don't want is lumps of butter sitting outside of the flour, if that makes sense, okay? So I hope you're all doing okay out there. We have some people back to school here last week, and we still have somebody who hasn't been to school yet. So we still have a mixed bag here of homeschooling and online schooling and actual people going to school. So we're kind of getting back to normal, but I don't think it'll be like it was before. It'll just be a new normal. And I think the key is to accept our new normal and not to be kind of hankering for what we used to have, because you drive yourself mad, wouldn't you? Okay, so that's it. So now I'm going to use my hands, like this part of my hand, to kind of bunch it all together, and the heat of your hand will help that to happen too. So what we're going for is bringing all of our flour and our sugar and our butter together. I don't know if you've watched me make some apple tart or pecan pie or anything that uses shortbread pastry. Very similar to this, except for you would add an egg, and the egg is what helps it to come together very easily. Now look at that, see how it all just comes together really quite easily. I'm going to shake off those little bits. I'm going to grab another little bit of flour just to, I don't want too much in there, but just to help me to shake off those bits that are stuck to my fingers, like that. And then scoop them all up again, like that. Waste not, want not, isn't that right? My mother always taught me that. So there you go, there's your dough ready now. I'm not gonna bother with the vanilla because, you know, there's a lot of butter in there. So this is how I do it. I leave my flour to the side first, and I just start to roll out until I feel it starting to stick, and then I'll lift it and flour my surface, because you don't want too much flour underneath there, because then your pastry or your shortbread is too floury. You only want it to just lightly come together. Now I'm going to put mine into a round tin, so I'm going to try and keep it as round in shape as I possibly can. If you feel it sticking, pull it back onto your rolling pin and flick it back out there again. Make sure you put a little bit of flour onto your rolling pin as well. So there we go. I think that's probably big enough now to go into my tin. I'm using one of these springform tins today, so I'm just going to take the top off it first to see how I can get it in here, just to measure it. This is going to be good crack. I've never done this before, but I presume it'll work. Maybe I should have actually measured the circle first. What do you think, Maria? Should have measured the circle. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put that back down on here. I'm going to pop this on here, and I'm going to run a knife around the edge, and that way I know it'll definitely be the right size for my tin. Because I'm going to try and make those petticoat tails. You know, those triangular pieces of shortbread that you get with the nice rimmed edges. So that's what I'm going for here today. If you don't have a round tin, you could just pop all this into a square tin or even onto a tray. Or if you have some nice cookie cutters, you could make some nice cookies out of that. Okay, so this is my basic shortbread here. I'm just going to take a fork and just prick it all over with the fork, because that's how shortbread usually looks, isn't it? Nicely pricked with fork. And then I'm going to take my knife to the edges. I hope you can see this. I'm just going to hold my knife and push in slightly to make an indentation, just like that, all the way around the edge. Do you want to just move the camera down a little bit, Maria, so people can see what I'm doing here? This is where you wish you had one of those. Have we still got one of those little sliders that picks up the cake?
I might be under you.
Yeah. So I'm holding my knife and pushing in with my finger. So I'm not actually doing any work with the knife. My finger's the one that's doing all the pushing. And that's going to give it a nice shape around the edges. Okay. So I'll keep doing that. The other thing that you need to do then is just to make the portions. I'm barely cutting in through this. Barely making an indentation, okay? And then we'll go this way, and then we'll go this way. Already it looks nice, doesn't it? I'm going to keep moving, or keep doing the edges, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've completely gone around all the edges. It's not a perfect circle, doesn't matter. I'm just using one of these pre-bought round tin liners. That was a big mouthful. I'm just going to put it over my tin base. If you are using something else, just use greaseproof paper or butter the inside of your tin, whatever it is that you're using. And I'm going to use my rolling pin then just to pick this up gently, just like that. Pop my tin in over here and then gently lay it down over the top like that. There we go. And now I'm going to try and put my lid back on. There we go. Great. I'm going to pop that into the oven, and I can't remember what temperature, but I'll stick it up there for you in a bit. Guys, I have a little bit of pastry left over here, and I found some lovely Easter type, what do you call these? Cookie cutters. So I'm going to try a couple here and see how we get on. I have a rabbit here. So never throw away any leftover pastry. We'll always try and use them up. I have a chicken here. What else have I got? I have a rooster here. That's something we haven't gone down the road of, is roosters yet. They are so noisy. So we haven't done that. Look at that. It's so cool. So I'm going to put this on just a little sheet of parchment paper, and I'm going to cook these as well. So I have a duck here, little duck shape, and a lamb shape. And I am going to pop them all on to my baking tray. Oh, his ears didn't come out. His ears are still stuck there. That does not look like a lamb. It looks like an earless lamb. I'll try that again. It's important to, let me see if I can do it this time with dipping my cookie cutter into the flour. But I may need to just pop them out gently, ears and all. Yay, you did it. That's a little bit boothery, but that's how you do it. And then you can gather up your pastry that's left over here and go again and make some more. These are great little cookie cutters. Wonder where we got these from, guys. Okay, I'm going to keep going here and make some more. So guys, I've taken this out of the oven just as it's slightly starting to brown around the edges, but you can still see it's still quite pale in the center, and our lines have kind of gone in quite a bit. So if you want yours more defined, just press heavier with your knife. While it's still hot, I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of caster sugar, and that will allow the sugar to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not roll off it, but to kind of, it doesn't stick, but what's the word? Adhere to the shortbread. So again, this is a personal thing, depending on how much or how little caster sugar you like. You could also use a sieve to get a more even sprinkling of the caster sugar all the way around. And then I'm going to leave it to cool down completely, and then I'll take it out. Okay guys, our shortbread has cooled down nicely, and I'm just going to pop it, well, maybe I'll leave it on. I'll leave it on the tin, but I can just barely make out my lines that I made earlier. So I'm just going to cut into them here, just like this. I don't think I made the indentations deep enough for you to see the petticoat tails, but you get the idea of what to do, and then maybe go a little bit harder. So this shortbread is still slightly warm, and that's the best time to cut it. If you wait until it's completely cooled down, it'll crack, and you don't want cracks. You just want a nice clean cut like that. My cookies, I managed to make quite a few little cookies over here. However, I left them in the oven too long, so you have to be really careful. You can see the top one's completely burnt, but these little ones down here look nice. We've got a duck, some carrots or pineapples, I'm not sure what they are, and rooster, butterfly, and a bunny. So you could have great fun with the kids decorating them over the Easter break. Just don't burn them like me. Anyway, I guarantee you even the burnt ones will be eaten in this house. Guys, I hope you get a chance to make some of this lovely shortbread. Let me see if I can lift one up here. Can you see? It's quite a thin piece of shortbread, but I think the portions are quite thick. So the thinner, the better when they're quite a big chunk like that. You can make them deeper and bigger. Use a smaller tin and just make them thicker. Or you can make little fingers, whatever you like. Anyway, the point is, they're super easy to make, and we're going to have one now with a cup of tea, because it's that 4 o'clock time when everybody needs a cup of tea. Thanks for watching. God bless.